Hey, what is happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly, but you are flying solo with Mike Spider Slayer here. So, welcome to the show, everybody. Hopefully, you will enjoy it. This is one of those instances where it's a rarity where there's only one of us here and the other two are not here. Kat had a emergency. Brant was he wasn't feeling well and also had some personal issues as well to deal with. So at the last minute, I decided, you know what, I'll take one for the team and I'm going to do the show solo because I really wanted to discuss the comic books this week, mainly because I didn't get a chance to discuss any of the books this week. I had a crazy week for spring break and I went to the Miami Open, I went to MegaCon, and I never had a chance to do my series worthy ones. And I never had a chance to do after the pool to where I discussed the comics. And then being that Kat and Brant weren't able to show up, I was like, man, now I'm really not going to be able to actually talk about these comic books either. So I'm like, I am determined to go on this show by myself, talking with the crew, the audience, guys, and discussing these books with you this week. So hopefully there will be enough people on here to discuss. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, guys, feel free to go ahead and bring it to my attention. And, this is the time to ask me anything because it's very rare that I go live by myself. But I think it's going to be fun. And we got 23 members in here. Please give this video a thumbs up before we get started here, guys. Give me a question, give me a comment, say hi, and we're going to get started. We're going to talk about all these DC comics and some of the other stuff as well. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to discuss what were like your favorite DC comics this week, because we wound up getting Batwoman, we wound up getting Lobo, and we wound up getting what was the other one? Deathstroke, right? And then you had new jumping on points, like you had Nightwing, and then you had Catwoman was the other one, right? And then you had the Titans book on top of that. So you had 6 books, right? So yeah, totally insane. A lot of stuff. But was it any stuff that you actually really enjoyed? Did you have fun actually reading it? So that's what I want to know, guys, in the comments below. So let's say hi to a couple people out here before we get started. So we got the name that changes. It says Ola. And then we get a demented domain who said boss mode. And Paul says, good evening, Mike. And welcome, Paul. And we have the Ultra Rooster said, hey, I watch your videos daily. I love your vibes. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. The Flashy says, hey, Spider Slayer. And Ultra Rooster says, how spoiler do you plan to get? I probably won't go too spoiler. Usually in the comic book reviews, I tend to spoil some things, but it just depends. I mean, we are a week out of this stuff, but I'll try not to go crazy. Um, Brock B2302 says, just got a new CGC 9.8 Man of Steel 18 first appearance of Doomsday from one of my submissions. It's got the DC Universe logo. That's pretty cool. Congratulations. Tevia says hi. He also said, where's Kat? Where's everyone? And here he says, so this is a solo show. That's right. I'm having fun with Thundercats and absolute titles. That's awesome, Flashies. Yeah, so like I said at the beginning of the show, if you're just joining us, Kat and Brant won't be on tonight. They had literally last minute things, kind of emergencies. So I decided instead of abandoning the show, I decided to say, you know what, I'm going to go through with it on my own because I really wanted to talk about the comic books that came out this week since I personally didn't get a chance to discuss them. All right. So Tevye says it sounds fun, and Jimmy G says, what's up? And don't worry about typos, guys. We all make typos, right? I can't even say things right. So don't mind typos here. So yeah, let's get into some of these comics. Let's talk about some of the other comics first, and then we'll get into those DC comics this week, okay? And we'll have fun with those because I'm really curious to hear what you guys thought of these things, okay? Let me see what this says right here. He says, kind of off topic a little bit, but was surprised Midnight Pool #1 was so low. Thoughts, thanks for everything. Mike. So are we talking about it off of the League of Comic Geeks? If you are, some of those independent comics, even Mark Spears, it's not always going to be that high. And for Midnight Man, I think a lot of people thought it was a one shot, but there definitely is going to be another issue, and that was confirmed by Mark Spears himself. And then we'll see where it goes from there. He literally said that. Okay, so let's get going. Let's talk about some comic books this week, guys. Let's talk about G.I. Joe issue 20. Did you guys read it this week? What did you guys think? I mean, I had a blast with that book. I thought it was really a lot of fun. Great times there as we got to see who is it? Optimus. I can't say Optimus Prime because he's not a Prime anymore, right? So we had Optimus meet up with Duke, and the interactions between those two were actually a lot of fun. Not too much of a spoiler here, but one of those things that's going on is it looks like that Transformers and GI Joe is not actually going to be crossing over as much as we think it might be. It's just they'll share intel with each other, right? So I thought that was kind of cool. But again, the interactions between Duke and Optimus were cool, and Hound and Clutch were a lot of fun, as well as that book continues to be absolutely solid. So that's always a standout book for me, in my opinion. All right. And then the next book, let's talk about this one. We got Amazing Spider-Man issue 24. So I'm very curious to hear in the comments, raise a hands, how many of you guys are actually reading Spider-Man Death Spiral and enjoying it? I have been enjoying it. I like the mystery of who Torment actually is, right? I think that's actually kind of cool. And the other thing that's going on in this book is kind of the crazy interactions between, I would say, Mary Jane and Peter Parker. Peter Parker not used to Mary Jane being a Venom symbiote, as obviously he's used to maybe everybody else being a Venom symbiote or Eddie Brock being a symbiote as well. Um, but I think it's been good. I really do. Now I don't know what we're gonna get out of this whole situation when it comes to Death Spiral, but the biggest thing is who is Torment, right? Now I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's Cletus Cassidy." Would that be the obvious choice? Like, who would you want Torment to be? A completely new character? I'm not sure, but it looks like Carnage did get his ass beat in the last issue, and maybe that's how we see Carnage become Peter Parker. Like I don't even know, but yeah. Listen, I think this is probably the best book or event that Spider-Man has had in quite some time. So again, it's not raising the bar very high, but at least it's something, and it's a step in the right direction, and that's what you could say about that, right? So let's see. We got Mike. Mike Manhattan says, "Has Snake Eyes showed up in GI Joe yet?" No, he hasn't. I'm sure he'll show up eventually here very soon. Um, Also, Mike said, Torment is Paul. Listen, I said that from the very beginning. I would love it to be Paul. And my discussion here to all of you is think about it. Paul has lost everything, right? He had it in another universe with Mary Jane. He had kids. Then he decided to go to Earth, and then he was with Mary Jane. He created the jackpot superhero, and then that went south, and then she became Venom, and then she lost interest in him, and he lost everything, everything. So why not be a super villain and try to kill everybody, right? Like that's super dark. Torment is on, man. That would be weird, right? So I hope it's Paul. I really, really do. And then here we have Chris who says, I want a new character for this villain. That could be cool. I think there was a new character coming out. What's his name? Shroom? Or is he like fungus or whatever it is? It's that Brian character. He's making appearance as a villain as he has gotten infected by a whole bunch of spores or whatever it is. It's like he's kind of like the last of us of a character, right? Let's see what we got here. We got the Flash usually said, try jumping on Amazing Spider-Man between 2018 and 2025, and it just didn't hit. Listen, I totally get it. Spider-Man has been completely different for quite some time, so it's kind of hard to get into it, right? So yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes to Spider-Man. All right, so let's talk about we're skipping those DC books like I talked. Let's talk about Invincible Universe, Battle Beast, issue 7. Again, raise the hands. Let me know in the comment section. Guys, were you happy that Battle Beast was back? Um, and what did you think about the alien nudity in that comic book? I did not see that coming. I'm like, what's happening in this book, right? But we wind up getting to see the alien back. He grows his legs, he grows other things as well. And we get to see Battle Beast heal up in this issue. And it looks like we're joining forces. I guess the villain's name is Colossus or whatever. And her brother is joining forces, and they're going to take on Battle Beast and everybody else. Listen, it's a book that's not I feel not very much a deep plot, but it is a great comic, and I love it, and the artwork is great, and, I just love how badass Battle Beast is. So that's one of those books that I definitely look forward to reading every single week it comes out, or I should say every month it comes out, and it's been on a hiatus, so it was good to see this book back, and it felt like a long time, but when I picked it up and started reading it, I completely remembered where we last left off. Uh, so let's see, we got a couple other comments in here. We have Ace, the Reckoning says, What up? What up? How's it going, Ace? And then let's see, Tevia, what do you say here? It says, I'm happy with Battle Beast has returned. All right. And then we have JD Fearless 4376. Battle Beast was my first comic, so I'm so excited. Plan on getting it signed by Otley. Such an awesome book. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a great book. If you've never read Invincible though before, like go out there and read it. It's a phenomenal read. I know you might be watching it on TV or whatever on Amazon, but it's a great book to read as well. I started watching Invincible or starting to try to catch up. I think I watched the first couple seasons pretty quickly. Me forever to get to season 3. So now I just started season 3. I want to get caught up so I can get caught up to the newest season. All right. So let's see. We got another comment here. It says, I feel like the Punisher series is gaining momentum and it is well written story so far. Really enjoying it. Oh, yeah, I agree. That first issue was freaking awesome, dude. And the second issue is getting ready to hit store shelves. So I'm excited about that for sure. And then Steve says, I can't wait for Silverhawks versus the Thundercats. So that's kind of cool. Um, Season 3, if I'm not mistaken, Tevia, is this the season where Mark fights Conquest? Let me know. All right, let's talk about another book. So let's talk about the Ultimates, issue 22. So I've been down on the Ultimates for a while, and it's all been solo series about each individual character. And this one is kind of no different. This one is kind of focuses on Captain America, but it also focuses on Captain America and his relationship with Bucky and how Bucky became like the Red Skull in the Ultimate Universe. And even though this doesn't really progress the plot all that much, I did actually enjoy reading this story on these two characters. And what happens at the end, it's like Steve has to make that ultimate um sacrifice, and I was like, oh man, that really sucks for him, like that he has to do that. But it really made sense at the end of the issue. But seeing that story happen, it was kind of sad. But yeah, again, when you look at the Ultimates, it's fine for like individual issues, but as an overall grand scheme of story, like it's completely lost its way. But I did find the book actually entertaining and it was fun read. I was originally going to skip it, but then I got hooked on it. So it's a good book if you want to read a Captain America and Bucky story. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about Exquisite Corpses. I'm trying to remember what happened. Oh, yeah, man. So if you're a Rascal Randy fan, like I started to become, and I really thought the dude was, I'm sorry. And listen, and this is a spoiler, but his death sucked. Were you pissed? If you read Exquisite Corpses, I'm sorry. Were you pissed off that Rascal Randy died the way he did? It was like it started to become this big thing. He's like, "Oh my god, my mask." And I was like, I wanted to see this guy's face. And then he just falls out a window or he gets pushed out or whatever it is and he dies. And I'm like, "Dude, that sucks." I'm like, I want I wanted that so bad, man. I wanted to see him and I was like so pissed off about that whole situation there. Um but yeah, we have the final two players. What do we got? We got Lady Fox, is it? That's left. And is it is it Pretty Boy? Was it those two that were the finals? I think it was. I think if I remember correctly. But yeah, we're coming to the end of that book, and I'm looking forward to it. Definitely a fun read right there. I had to read a lot of books in a quick amount of time. It was like within 2, 3 days when I read all these books. So it was tough. And I read 27 books this week. So crazy. Tomorrow is looking like the same thing. I think I originally had 31 comic books, right? And I had to take books off. Like I know there was a new jumping on points with a lot of books when it came to like Detective and Justice League Unlimited and The Flash. But I had to say, you know what? No, I'm passing on those because it's like 27 books again, 28. I just physically don't have the time to read that many books, right? So yeah. All right, let's take a couple more questions here. Let's see what we got here, guys. I'm not I'm not sure what all the Invincible hype is about. I'm telling you, like, honestly, if you read it or watched it, it's a great show. It really is. Maybe the comic book might be better. The character growth is phenomenal in this series. Tevia says, it's unfortunate the Ultimate Marvel universe is ending because personally, that universe was the only universe I had that was interesting and better than main Marvel. Maybe at one point, right? Fearless 4376 says, yeah, I watched the show and got into comics, got Battle Beast and all of the trades for Invincible. My dream is to collect all the keys. I only have 51 and 12 Virgin variant from a con. So I actually have issue 2 and I have quite a few issues in the 20s. And then I have every issue, I think, from 50 something to when it ended. So issues all started before I actually got into comics in 2007 or 8. Like I read a lot of comics well before then, but there was a period where I took a break from reading comics just because of life in general. And then it wasn't until in my early 30s until I got back again. All right, so let's see. What do we got here? Is unfortunately, I had to put Exquisite Corpses on the sideline, only picking up my pulls for the moment. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's hard to make a decision sometimes, man. It really, really is. Let's see. I think we still get a Rascal Rando reveal next issue. Someone will come across his body and take the mask off. Maybe it wasn't him. Wouldn't that be funny as hell? Like, I think that would be so funny if, like, I don't know, like, he put it on somebody else and he died, and maybe he has a twin. That would be a clone. That'd be so funny. Oh, man. Let's see. What's this? There's also Superman Unlimited that has returned, my boy Jonathan Samuel King. I'm not reading that, though. I don't have any interest in that from Dan Slott. Did you Powers by Brian Michael Bendis and Michael, Avon Omining is getting an animated series on Netflix. I actually did hear about that. But you know what? I never really read Powers, so I don't have really an opinion to it. So, and then we have the Flashies who says, "What do you think the new Daredevil comic will be good?" Because so far that's my fave. Um, you know what? Listen, Stephanie Phillips writing Daredevil. I don't have anything against Stephanie Phillips. I know some people do. They don't like the way she writes. I think she's had some good comics. I think she's had maybe okay comics. And I feel like she deserves a shot, and we'll see what she has to offer. Hopefully, it was better than Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil because that was awful. Like, I did not like that at all. And, but, Chip's Daredevil was actually really good. So we'll see what she brings to the table here. I'm very hopeful for it. I'm gonna say user says, "I can't wait for new Batman 7 issue run with the Scarecrow. He's always been a villain I wanted to explore." Yeah, he's kind of creepy, man. Not gonna lie right there. All right. So let's go forward. How many of has read the Century issue 1? We haven't read a Century book in quite some time. Last time the Century was in Marvel Comics, it was split up into different powers. I think a female was a Sentry, right? And now we got the original Sentry back. But this was a book that I couldn't really get into all that much just because it was very depressing and very sad. And then it's like he's got his void persona going after people and stuff like that. And I wasn't really keen on the artwork either. It was just one of those books that I was just not into for some reason. I don't know what it really was, but it's a book that I'm probably going to pass going forward. I was expecting something different maybe out of this, and I don't know, man. I think this one is. I think this one is definitely going to be a pass for me. So we'll see what else I can pick up instead of that one going forward. All right, so here we go. We got JD says, "You think they will utilize Umbra outside of Dungeons of Doom?" I am not sure. Dungeons of Doom, though, is a good book. Like, I really enjoy that book. It's creepy, scary, horrific, like all that stuff. Christopher says, "Hey, Mike, are you going to give Dan Slott a shot in his new Spectacular Spider-Man series?" I'm on the fence. I am because I have read everything that he's done for Spider-Man, so I'll definitely give it a try. Um, I just find it weird that we're going back to Brand New Day. I felt like we've told that story already 1,000 times with all those issues. Like, how much more can you explore, right? But I will definitely give it a try, right? So we'll see what happens here. All right, let's see what happens. Not a horror guy, but that Midnight Man looks interesting. Do you think that's a good place to start? It seems like he's his own character, so I would say why not? But listen, I I would say give it a shot and see what happens. The only way you're going to know is if you try it for yourself. I know the Mark Spears Monsters comic books are hard to come by. So I would say, like, when eventually he releases a trade, I'm sure he will. That's when you would read that, right? All right. So here we go. Mike says, from what I heard, the New Century comic is a direct continuation from the original comic by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee. Okay, well, that's kind of cool. But I don't think I read the original comic. Oh, geez. All right, so let's go forward here, guys. Let's talk about uh, oh, Captain America. What do you guys think about Captain America? Did you guys read it? Type in yes or type in no. Let me know in the comments below. But as of right now, Captain America, I feel, has been a pretty good series since Chip Zdarsky has taken it over and is leading to this Armageddon event. And we have this new villain, right? That kind of took place of Doctor Doom. I totally forgot his name. Is it Salvation? Is that his name? And and then we come across, is it Lena Von Doom, or am I just making up these names? And she's, I think, the cousin of Doctor Doom, and they're trying to find out if there's these secret weapons that this Salvation character is holding. And once Cap goes on this mission, he finds out something much, much more worse than some weapons, right? So I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy and super dark. So I'm digging this Captain America series so far. It's really good. Um, and I think it definitely has potential to lead into this Armageddon event with some hype, with some buildup. So definitely going to be continuing that one for sure. All right. And the name changes says, I'm going to go digging for Captain America books when I get caught up on my pulls. So are we talking about the new ones or are we talking about the old ones? Let me know. I thought Captain America was solid, very interesting, and seeing Steve go full patriot next issue. Bro, he lost his crap in this issue at the end of it. Dude, it was rough, really rough. All right. And then it says, I just don't want to hunt down the first 7 issues. I understand. Totally understand. Oh, what happened to regular Doctor Doom? Is he still gone? As of right now, but I know he's making his comeback eventually, very soon. All right, it says we got to talk about the Spider-Man trailer. So much to unpack from that trailer. Okay, so here's what we'll do. Once we get done with the comics, the last thing we'll talk about today will be that Spider-Man trailer. Does that sound like a deal, guys? If you want that, let me know. Okay. Tevia says, will this Armageddon event actually matter in the long run? Because honestly, I've been burned so many times with Marvel events because it doesn't sound interesting. Hey, listen, whether it will matter or not, I don't know. But I think half the battle build up. At least we know that this event is coming, unlike One World Under Doom, how all of a sudden Doom is in power one day, or the Blood Hunt event, where all of a sudden that just happened, right? We're building to something. And that's kind of like what DCKO did. And so when something builds, it creates an anticipation, and the anticipation leads to excitement. And then hopefully you want the event to deliver. So let's hope that it does that. Okay. All right. So here we go. We got, yeah, sounds great about the trailer at the end. Cool. All right. Let's see what this one says. JD says, I kind of thought the arc was too similar to the first one, so I ended up dropping it. They free Latveria from Doom and now trying to fight against others that want to take control. Yeah. I mean, isn't that always the case, though? Like when Doom is not there, they're like, yeah, who's going to take it over? Right. So it's kind of about, but it's written well. And I definitely think it has some potential here. All right. Let's go on. Let's talk about Geiger issue 22. What do you guys think about Geiger? So let me know in the comments below. I think this book is heading to an interesting direction where we see Tyreek, who's teaming up with the Northerner, right? And they got this tank, and there's these weapons that drop. And in this issue, they meet up with the kids that were trained by Ashley Darden, right? The glowing woman. And it was kind of cool because you wind up getting to see a softer side of Tyreek. And he was obviously a father, right? And it was great to see him interact with the kids here, getting books, telling them stories, making them feel like kids and making them feel comforted once again. And I thought it was a great, great issue. And then towards the end of it, we wind up getting to see that it looks like they're going back in time to seeing Tyreek's kids and his wife and all that other stuff. So I'm very much intrigued to see what's going to happen there. So really good issue once again from Geiger. However, I don't think it made my top five, and I'll go over my top five when we get done with this. All right. So let's see. More questions here. We got or comments. Name that changes says the only other time in recent Marvel history to do this was War of the Realms. So are you talking about build up to an event? It's been quite some time, man. Let's see. Gang War and Blood Hunt were so unnecessary. Gang War started off pretty decent and then it just got bad. It was bad. And then that artwork, bad. So Tevi says, go for it with the trailer after the comics. It's fine by me. Name that changes says, love Geiger, but when do you think they're going to show the rest of the unnamed they keep teasing? Yeah, the one with the rose. I don't know. Who could that person actually be? And then we have the name that changes says, I really like the unnamed universe. Since the ultimate universe is coming to an end, I'm going to uh, put as many titles as I can. And panel by panel comic says, I think if Armageddon doesn't pay off, it's going to be very hard for me to buy into another Marvel event. I mean, listen, I agree, right? But do we always try? We always think this could be better because we're like, how can it get any worse? It can't get any worse, right? But it always seems like it does, right? Oh gosh. So yeah, it's cool stuff, man. All right, so let's talk about it. Oh, excuse me. It's late. Let's talk about Infernal Hulk, issue 5. What'd you guys think about Infernal Hulk? I think this is Marvel's like one of their best books. We got Infernal Hulk doing battle against like this like light being or whoever it is that was summoned by the Avengers, and then he kicked the shit out of that thing. That was kind of cool. Then we wind up getting to see Betty and Bruce come to a realization that they can't be hiding and live in a normal life ever again. And we wind up getting to see this mom's son that was a soldier that was infected by the Infernal Hulk go after the mom, and they started fighting. I mean, it was like all kinds of crazy stuff that went on in that issue. Literally like a 5-minute read, but it was a great action packed issue. And it was like scary. It definitely reminded me of like a horror movie. Absolutely love Infernal Hulk. Definitely recommend on my end. And then we got Absolute Flash, issue 13, which I think is headed in a much better direction. We finally get a new story arc going here. We wind up getting to see Wally be like in the what is it, orphanage or whatever that he is, to stay there. And he's with Linda Park and he reveals the secret. And then they go back to the place to try to find some answers and whatnot. That was a really good book. I had fun with that one. So definitely continue to read Absolute Flash. And then we had a new issue 1. We had Dead Teenagers issue 1 this week. Did any of you guys read that book? I did. I thought it was deep. Dead Teenagers was about a bunch of kids back in 1997 that were in their prom, and they got killed by like some lizard creature or something like that. And they keep reliving this day over and over again. So it's like Happy Death Day or Groundhog Day. It's kind of combined, right? and they got to try to figure a way out of it. Well, by the time you wind up getting to the end of this comic, they're much older. So they obviously, I guess, got out of this situation. The book did a good job at kind of the event itself, but learning the characters, it was a little difficult, right? But nevertheless, it was entertaining. I might pick up issue 2. So it was pretty good, right? So yeah, that was kind of cool. All right, let's see what we got here on a couple other questions. Um, Here we go. Nathan says Infernal Hulk, Smash Everything are both really good. Smash Everything, Smoosh Everything was is a great book. I definitely say pick that one up. Linda is such an energetic character that Absolute Flash desperately needed. Yes, you are so right. I agree 100%, because that book did not have a supporting cast character that had energy or made the book kind of humorous in any way, right? It was very depressing, sad book in so many levels. Yeah, so you never heard of it. Christopher says Absolute Flash has gotten a lot better these last few issues. And so it's Groundhog Day, but with death. That's interesting. Yeah, exactly. The name that changes says, "Man, oh man, Absolute Universe is great. I get all cars of Absolute Flash and Flash proper." All right. Are we talking about this book is not a one and done. This book is a continuation on issue 2. So like I said, they grow up and then you don't know what happens from there on out. So yeah. So it's so kind of cool right there. All right. So those are the other books. Now let's go into the DC books, and then let's talk about what my top 5 was, okay? So, I want you guys to rank these DC books. Again, we had Batwoman issue 1, we had Lobo issue 1, Deathstroke issue 1. We also had Nightwing issue whatever. We had the newest Catwoman issue, whatever, and then we had the Titans book. So out of those 6 books, right, rank them in the comments from 6 to 1 and let me know what you think is your favorite one. So we're going to have some fun with that. Let's talk about Batwoman issue 1. So Batwoman issue 1 for me, unfortunately, missed the mark on all levels. Artistically, it took me out of the story. The story itself took me out of the story. So it made for a complete train wreck, unfortunately. It was a book that I couldn't get into. It was like Kate in a therapy session about her sister. And it was just like, wow, why would I want to read this depressing book about her sister, that she lost? It was just like, oh, and there was no good cliffhanger. The artwork wasn't good. Sometimes you can get artwork behind it, and you're like, wow, this looks great. But this was like a complete miss all the way around. Definitely will not be picking up the second issue of this. That's sad because I really wanted to read more about Kate. But with that, that's a miss for me. All right. Next, Deathstroke, The Terminator, issue 1. So this book delivered. This is how you do a number 1 where we wind up getting to see, um, a note written in here, and we wind up getting to see, I think it was Deathstroke who was going on this mission, and he's guided by Wintergreen, and he winds up getting into this safe house, and there's this surprise at the actual end of it, and something very bad happens to Deathstroke where you're just like, oh my god, like how is this guy going to survive? I thought the artwork delivered in so many levels. The cliffhanger is great because you're wondering what happened to a particular character here. And so, if there is a book that truly has potential, it's going to be this Deathstroke book. I think this one was my favorite. I'm telling you now, favorite out of all of them. And I would say Batwoman was the least favorite out of all of them. So we had 1 and we had number 6 that were discussed. So let's see what we got right here so far when it comes to these books. So here we go. We got Deathstroke was number one. Chris said Deathstroke. Evil's Comic says number one, Batman, two, Teen Titans, three, Lobo, four, Deathstroke. So Evil's Comics, if you love Batwoman, listen, that's totally cool. I respect your opinion, and everyone has their own opinion. No opinion is wrong. So good stuff. I'm glad you like the book. There's always something there for somebody. Number six was all right. Tevia says, didn't really read some of these books, but if I had to rank them, Deathstroke is the top two, Lobo, and that's about it. Titans is the last one because honestly, I don't like it and I'm burned out. Okay, let's see what happens. Here we go. Panel by Comics says number one is Lobo, number two is Deathstroke, number three is Titans, number four is Nightwing, number five is Batwoman. Only read three. Lobo, and Deathstroke. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Deathstroke was awesome, issue one. Deathstroke was my favorite book of the week. Deathstroke number one, Lobo number two, Nightwing number three, Batwoman number six. Oh, man. Let's see what we got here. Love the deep roots with Lobo and Deathstroke. Batgirl Venom rocked. Let's see. I say the art in Deathstroke was top, maybe Lobo second. Lobo's artwork was my favorite. Unfortunately, the story for me when it came to Lobo wasn't the greatest. And I'll tell you, this is the next one that we have to talk about. It's it's just it reminds me of just way too over the top. Like it's like Harley Quinn, it's like Deathstroke, not Deathstroke, like Deadpool, like those books where they just kind of throw it in your face, and it gets to the point where it's just not always funny. And that's what kind of frustrates me about those books. Now, the only thing is that it leaves you off with a kind of a cool cliffhanger, but it took the whole book to get to that point, right? So maybe I'll check out issue two and see what it has to offer. The artwork, though, is phenomenal. I freaking love the artwork there by Jorge Corona. I think it's great. And at least it tells a good story that way, right? But again, I think it takes a certain personality to enjoy that in your face humor. And I'm not always that audience. I like humor when it's kind of done more organically, right? So let's see. That woman was a continue to eulogy, so probably won't hit like other numbers. Yeah, I wish, see, then it shouldn't be a new number one or something, you know? Let's see. Saw how deeply Scotty was committed in interview of Lobo. Jorge are our best friends. It's deep. Yeah, no, they work together all the time, and I think they're a great team. Scotty was serious on Lobo. And let's see, we got Batwoman continues their first arc from the 52 run. So cool. All right. So yeah, Lobo just it was personally not my taste, but I am going to give it another try. It deserves another try just for the artwork alone, like I said. All right, so let's talk about New Teen Titans issue 3. So this was a very interesting comic book, and I like the way this one was written because it's Nightwing who is like dealing with the same old crap every day. And as humans who have a very deal with routine every single day, it's kind of the same situation with Nightwing and the superheroes. Wake up, make coffee, fight the bad guys, go to bed, do it all over again. It's kind of like us. We wake up, we go to or we eat breakfast, we go to work, we deal with our daily routines, and we do it all over again, right? So it's like as the issue goes along, it's interesting because it's like you see Nightwing where you think he might be tripping. He's freaking fighting like a coffee machine. And then all of a sudden, when you're looking for something different, couple bad things really happen to his teammates. And then we get to see other heroes come flying in, right? So it was a pretty interesting book. And there were some good character moments between Starfire and Nightwing and all that other stuff. And I actually liked it. I thought this new jumping on point was way better than the last jumping on point from John Layman. So I really had a good time with this book. This was something that I would say pick up if you were on the fence about. This is something definitely different. All right. So I would recommend Titans as well. So let's talk about Nightwing. So I did read Nightwing for the first time in quite a while. And this one's written by Dan Waters. And we get to see Nightwing, who is driving his car in Bloodhaven. And he's kind of upset because there's this new mayor who built a super right. And he's like mad about it because he's like, well, there's never been a highway here. It's always been this walking city. You're a city. You're telling me Bloodhaven has never had a highway before? And ever since this highway has been built, right, all these accidents are happening, right? And so he winds up picking up a woman who's like weird. He picks up a hitchhiker, right? And he gets this news on the police radio that there's this woman that's hitchhiking or whatever it is, and so he figures out it's her, and, like, she holds a dagger to, like, his neck or whatever, and they're, like, driving, and he's, like, talking to her, and he's like, "Oh, I can get you help," and this and that, and then all of a sudden, there was this big wreck and this big accident. So now it's because of Nightwing why there's this accident happen on this super highway. I'm just like, "This is such a weird comic," like, I don't get it, like, the whole book is him driving in his, like, Charger or whatever it is. It's just weird. So I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna continue this one either, but it was just a different type of story. Um, and this was the first one that I read in a couple, I would say, good year at least. But yeah, that was just a weird and different story. I didn't like that one either. So that's a pass. What's next? Catwoman. That's a pass too. That was really bad. I just felt like it wasn't like a really great jumping on point. I guess you have had to read at least a little bit from the last run. I didn't like the artwork in there either. So she comes back to Gotham. She runs into an old friend. She pretends she's pregnant. Like, I don't know, man. So it looks like I'm just going to have to stay away, the Nightwing book, the Catwoman book, right? I'm just gonna have to stay away from those ones. Batwoman, stay away from that. Looks like I'll Deathstroke will be a continuation. I'll definitely cont and I'll give Lobo a second chance, and that's probably and Titans, and that's probably about it, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, that's how it is. So if I had to rank, I would say Deathstroke being number 1, right? Um, Batwoman being the least favorite. I would say Catwoman was number 5. I don't know. Number 2, Titans? I don't even know. I lost track. I need something to write it down with, and I have nothing to write it down with. But nevertheless, I was curious to hear what you guys thought of these books. But yeah, the Nightwing book definitely does not deliver. And TMNT, wow, says Lobo equals you know what was utter trash. That's harsh, right? And Name Changes says Catwoman is always a pass for me. I couldn't tell you the last Catwoman book that I enjoyed. I think it was maybe the one from the 90s or something like that. I read a random issue and it was good. I would say definitely try Deathstroke for sure. I think you would like it. And then let's see. I read Catwoman in the Court of Owls and I was totally lost. That woman was also trash. Yeah, it's not good. It was not good. Um, oh, just because it was by Tony Fleeks. Yeah, that makes sense. Darwin Cook Catwoman was super underrated. All right. So let's see. Let's go forward here. All right. So I'm going to give you guys my top 5 comics of the week, right? We talked about the books that were on this list already, so I'm not going to spend too much time. But my number 5, and we just got done talking about it, was New Titan, right? That's issue 33. Very different way of going on to a jumping on point. I actually really enjoyed that, right? Oh, here we go. Number 4. We didn't talk about this one. End of Life, issue 2. Now, this book is freaking good. Like, I was like, hopefully, issue 1 wasn't a fluke. Issue 2 was great. I really liked the setting here of Eddie being in this small town. Eddie Stallion is his name, and he's in this town and he's hanging out with his dad and he hates his dad and his dad hates him, and he's like all jealous because everyone loves his dad, and he's like, why does everyone love you? He's just like, you're such an asshole to me. And he's just like, well, I've gotten to know everybody, and this is where everyone wants to go if they want to hide and blend in with everybody else. And and Eddie sits there and goes, I need out of this place. And he tries to call his guys back, and he's like, we'll give back the stuff that we stole or whatever it is. And then became this setup, and more shit hits the fan at the end of the issue. And I freaking loved it, dude. Absolutely loved this book. It's so good. Never thought it would be one of my favorite books right now. Let's see what it says here. Issue 3 is going to be insane. Yeah, man. It the end of it, his name is like Big Cock Coming, right? Because this guy is dressed as like a chicken, a rooster, or whatever it is, because all the characters dressed up as like all the gang members have different like heads to represent their gangs, right? So it's kind of weird. But yeah, man, great issue. Panel by Panel Comics says Eddie Stallion might be the biggest prick in comics, but I can't wait for him to become likable because this story is amazing. Yeah, I get it. Exactly. He's the biggest asshole, but for some reason you want to go for this guy. You want to see what happens, right? That's why he wants out of the town. He's like, I need out of this town. I feel everyone is like constricting me, and I thought that was a great line right there because it's like he already feels the change happening on him trying to be this good guy. So, yeah. All right. So let's see. Um, say Exquisite Corpses issue 11 was number 2. We'll find out in a second. Amazing Spider-Man number 24 was my top pick. I'm glad you really liked it. I liked it too, and I liked Exquisite Corpses as well. Number 3 is G.I. Joe issue 20. Yeah. Number 3. This wasn't the best issue that I ever read from the series, but it was good, and we did talk about that earlier. Here we go. Number 2 is not Exquisite Corpses, is actually Deathstroke. I really enjoyed the heck out of this comic book. I love the action and the adventure and the mission that he went on. And then that ending, I was like, oh, I was like, no way. Like, is that going to, like, holy cow. But my number 1 is, and this will be, I think, a shocker for you guys. It's not Exquisite Corpses, but it is American Caper. This book has such good character work that I love reading all these freaking characters. So, like, we get the lawyer guy that's in here, and he has the hots for the Mormon wife that's right next door. He's mowing the lawn. His freaking over political wife sits there and has a gun, and he like she like tries to shoot him but misses and hits a bird right next to him. And she's talking to this online guy, right? This guy that's online. And he's like feeding her all this bullshit. And they wind up meeting a bar. and it looks like they're hooking up in the men's bathroom. And the other situation is you learn about these immigrant maids that are there, and she was learning how she was part of the cartel and all this other stuff. Like, dude, it's such a great character piece. I love this book. Like, I don't even know really what the main plot of this comic book is, except these characters. I guess it shows you like how fucked up the world actually is, right? So that's what makes this book like so much fun. So I absolutely loved it. Really, really loved it. All right. Tevye says, my pick of the week is and number one, Superman Unlimited, mostly for the return of John Kent. All right. Let's see what we got. Spider Slayer. I traded a friend of mine a few books for the new Mark Spears Midnight Man trading card signed. Looks amazing. Got the 1 in 100 Fisher Hulk Frankenstein remake. That's pretty awesome too. So I got that card, that Midnight Man card at MegaCon. Mark Spears did give it to me as well with the Ash can for that series as well. Really much looking forward to it. I love the fake ads in American Caper that remind me of the radio broadcast from GTA games. Oh, well, I mean, he's the same guy, right? Isn't that the writer of this, of who wrote Grand Theft Auto, or who makes Grand Theft Auto? So I think that's pretty cool. American Caper is the best book in comics. Yeah, it's so freaking good, dude. Let's see what we got. Caper reminds me of Red Room type. TMNT said, when I heard Deathstroke was written by Tony Fleeks, I immediately had to buy it. I really enjoyed it. I'll be sticking with it as long as Tony writes it. Let's hope he stays on it for like quite some time, right? All right. And then Tevye says, fun. And then here we got Panel by Comics says, Dan Houser creates characters out of the blue. American Caper was easily my pick of the week. So yeah, you know, when a comic is good is when the comic grabs you and it becomes this page turner and you get lost in the world and in the characters completely, that when it's over, you're like, yeah, that's it. That's when a comic does its job. You know, when a comic doesn't do its job, when you're sitting there reading words and you just zone out and you're like, what did I just read? And then you got to go back and reread it. And then you're like, what happened again? That's when a comic completely loses you, or it feels like a chore to read. You're reading it and you're like, oh my God, this is so boring. Like, it's so uninteresting. When a comic like American Caper does what it does, right, to get you into these characters, that's when you know it's a really good comic book. So, yeah, good stuff. All right. So let's talk about the last thing on the show tonight before I head out. Because when you're by yourself doing a show, it's a little difficult on your voice. You can only talk so long. Plus, I just got done teaching 4 hours of tennis. And what do I do the entire time for 4 hours? I talk. I don't stop. So this is like another hour of me speaking. But here we go. The Amazing Spider-Man trailer, whatever it's called, is a brand new day, one more day, another day, sometime in the day. What is it called? I don't even know. So this trailer actually really delivered in my eyes. I had a blast actually watching it. And I feel really bad for Peter, right? But this is the Peter that's who he is. Like, he's this sad, depressed kid who doesn't have very many friends. He's poor, right? Lives on his own, probably. And however, just all the things that it drops in this book, in this trailer, is awesome, right? Like, you see Peter going through this transformation, and it's from that story. Is it The Other? I think that's what it is, where he transforms into a monster spider, with like 6 arms or whatever it is, Or do you remember Spider-Man, the animated series where he transformed and the Punisher was in that as well? So it makes sense that the Punisher is in this movie with Spider-Man as he's going through this transformation. I thought that was actually really cool. I'm glad that they brought back the original MJ. Like, I love Zendaya. I think she's fine. And I I'm excited. And what I liked was the homage covers or scenes, right, from Amazing Spider-Man 15. We wind up getting the Amazing Spider-Man issue 134, which I tried trying to find in MegaCon, but I failed. It's impossible to find it. So you know what I found? I found Peter Parker Spectacular issue 1 with the tarantula on it. So I wound up getting that. The Boomerang scene as well, which I currently have that issue as well. So all those cool little scenes and Easter eggs for the trailer is cool. How that all makes sense in the movie, I'm not sure. That could very well be a montage of things that Spider-Man faces in the beginning of the movie before the movie gets started. That could be a possibility. The other cool thing is seeing the Scorpion in here in his full suit for the first time. I thought that's kind of cool also, but I'm very much looking forward to this movie. This could be the best Spider-Man movie as of late. So definitely excited. So let me see if we got some comments about this here because I haven't been paying attention. Let's see how far up we go. All right, we go here. Panel by Comics says Dan Hauser creates characters out of the blue. Okay, we did talk about that. Uh Fleets is signing books tomorrow. I purchased online from Third Eye Bookstore. If it's fine with all. Oh, that's cool. That's super cool. And then we got Mike who said also the Sacrificers is wrapping up on the seasons. Yes, man, the Sacrificers. That book is so sad now. Like, it's so sad. So disappointed that it is ending. Okay, let's see. Let's see. The name changes says, so I'm right. You wouldn't like Absolute Martian Manhunter. I'm not a big Absolute Martian Manhunter guy. Like, I liked the first 6 issues, and then after that, I was like, "Okay, I'm done." And then it took its break, and it came back, and I tried reading it again, and I wasn't big into the return of it. It's called Spider-Man Brand New Day. All right. Question, Mike. Do you recommend Punisher? Welcome back, Frank Marvel Premiere Collection? I don't I don't think I read that. I did not read a lot of Punisher stuff in the past. You am? The man spider. That's what it was, yeah. The other involved Moreland. The name changes says, I hear the reason why Marvel doesn't put out good comic book writers on Amazing Spider-Man is because Sony owns the right for it. Uh, that's stupid. That's your best-selling comic book, and I get Sony owns the rights to the but the comic, that is your that's your money there, man. You gotta make good comics there. You just have to. And I think people have been jonesing for it for such a long time. I'm definitely excited about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Christopher says, my question, who thinks Ezekiel will make an appearance? I hope not. I'm not really a fan of Ezekiel. And I heard Jean Grey is making her appearance. Isn't that Sadie Sink playing that character in there? My only fear is that Spider-Man 3, it's where they will just be too much going on, but hoping I'm wrong. That's why I was saying, like, those homage scenes or like a montage. I don't know if all those characters are going to be in there at one time. I think it's going to focus on the hand and the Punisher and the transformation of Spidey and his situation going on currently. Kind of seems like they're going to say Peter is a mutant like they did with Kamala. Yeah, you never know. Let's see. Tevia says, I'm curious if this movie does well. Will Marvel Comics finally give us good Spider Man comics again? Every Spider Man movie has done well. It doesn't matter how long. Rammy's movies did really well. They always do good. They always draw people. You just got to get a writer that can write Spider Man or do something different, right? Listen, Joe Kelly has been doing a decent job. It's not the best, but he's been doing decent. So let's hope it continues to go on the up and up. As long as Paul is Torment, then I'm going to give him all the credit in the world. Evil Comics says some misdirection into trailer. The Hand knows Peter's identity, shown with his mask off, fighting the Hand. It's true. Dr. War God says, Sup, Spider Slayer, you looking forward to Daredevil? Definitely will check it out for sure. Mike says Boomerang and Tarantula show up in the trailer as well. So, like I said, they were on those maybe montage moments. I don't know. Or are they in other scenes? But I'm looking forward to both of them. I would love to see them on the screen. I think seeing Boomerang would be awesome, right? Spiders don't have 3 cycles, they have 2. All right. Question. Do you think MJ in the movie remembers Peter? No, she doesn't. She doesn't. It's even shown in the trailer that she doesn't. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the spell will break. Read today, Absolute Martian was delayed into May and June. Oh, for real? I did not know that. I thought that was coming out. It showed that it was coming out um tomorrow. Or did it get delayed at the last moment? Absolute Martian Manhunter's peak. It's peak, yo. With the Hand in the trailer, I wonder how much Daredevil we might get to see. You have to see Daredevil in that movie. You're going to see, I'm sure you're going to see some kind of other mutants. You're going to see Daredevil. You're going to see the Punisher. You're going to see them all. I'm telling you, man. This movie's going to be packed. The name changes says the reality is the writers of Amazing Spider-Man are good writers. They just have to deal with the higher ups who actually are driving the book. You're 100%, Mike. You're 100% right on that. Tevia says, do you think Scorpion will be one of the main villains? I don't think so. He hasn't been a main villain yet. I don't think he's going to be a main villain this time either. I think he might actually get his upgrade. I think he might do a decent fight. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he works for the Hand too. Who knows? The name changes says, I will always pick up Amazing Spider-Man, and I will too. And let's see. What's your thoughts on the upcoming Spectacular Spider-Man book that Dan Slott's writing? So I talked about this a little bit earlier. I don't have high expectations for it. I feel like we've done enough stories in Brand New Day. Why do we have to go back to that time? Why not just come back to a new story? Why can't we do a new story, right? It's like we did Spider-Verse to death, and now that that's done, right? Now we have to go back to Brand New Day. It's just a cash grab for the movie. Marvel did give us a good Spider-Man. It's actually called Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, did you read the original Ultimate Spider-Man? Now that's a series. That is a really good series. Tevia says, why would the Hand care about Peter Parker? Well, you're just going to have to watch the movie and find out. Let's see. You think the movie teases the black suit or symbiote at the end? Could. It could. We had that little piece from that Venom movie. So we'll see. Pete, what's up? He says, what's up, Mikey? Happy pre-new comic book day. Looking forward to seeing that haul. It's going to be huge. Yeah, man, you ain't kidding. It went from 31 books or 33 books to like, I think 29 books just to read. That's not including variants. When you add the variants from Spider-Man, it's going to be more than that. All right. Evil Comics says thinking the main bad guys is the Jackal after Sadie Sink character, who will be Spider-Man related character. Jackal using Punisher to free and capture her. Tombstone will be funding the Jackal. Interesting. Love all your guys' theories on this movie. Editorial at Spider-Man are running the grounds, or running the show, or ruining it. I can't read. Running it into the ground sadly. There we go. Evil Comics says, also thinking it might not be main spider and it might be a form of venom. Huh. Interesting thought process there. Doctor says, seems like they are packing all the movies with characters since Deadpool and Wolverine. I would say the last Spider-Man movie was the first movie to do that. Or you could say the Avengers movie was the movie to do that, right? Daredevil jock cover is killer. And Tevia says, question, is Spider-Man Brand New Day comic a cash grab for the movie? If so, why are they doing it? This is pointless. No, they just want to get people excited for it. That's all. And then it says, which those Spider-Verse comics were so bad. Yeah. Wasn't a fan of those, but they started off really good. I think I asked this already. Did you know that Brian K. Vaughan is co-writing Dune? Yeah, you did mention that last week. I've never been a real Dune guy. I always find those movies boring since I was a little kid. And then when the new ones came out, I had no interest in ever watching it. Emmanuel said, I'm still feeling like Sadie is going to be Jean Grey. Probably not likely, but maybe. I heard that she is. That's what I heard. I could be completely wrong. And did you hear about Sam Keith? Yeah, unfortunately I did. So that's very sad. And then we also lost Chuck Norris as well, man. Like Chuck Norris, right? Texas Walker Ranger, right? I never watched that show, but like I remember seeing it on like CBS, and I was just like, Texas Walker Ranger. Like I always made fun of the commercial and stuff like that, but huge action hero. I remember toys and stuff like that. Yeah, some crazy stuff, man. Question, speaking comic book media, any opinion on the Lantern show? Not watching it, I don't think. I'll tell you that. Rest in peace, Keith. Absolutely. You will be missed. Did you think MJ's new boyfriend is Paul? No. Chuck Norris. Let's see. I never watched this show either. I'm hoping White Sky 2 picks up. I have high hopes for the series. I agree. I totally agree with you. I personally find it hard to believe Marvel would just Sony Gene. Plus, we know the Fox X-Men are in Doomsday. I don't think we will see MCU X-Men until after Doomsday. We'll see, man. We will totally see. We will see. All right, guys. So that's it. I am going to wrap it up for the evening. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the show. If you watched it live, please, on your way out, it takes 2 seconds. Just support the show, give it a thumbs up at the end on your way out. It's much appreciated. And if you haven't followed my channel or Comic Book Weekly channel or the rest of the cruise channel, go ahead and do that as well. Subscribe to it and hit the bell so you don't miss anything from me. What can you expect from me this week? Well, this week, once again, is a little bit more of a challenging week this week. Have the comic book haul, which is going to be produced tomorrow. Worthy ones will probably get done as well. Friday, I don't know if I'll have something on Friday. I am going away this weekend. My daughter does have a dance competition. So when it comes to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it will be a challenge to not only read the books, but it will be a challenge to actually review them as well. So hopefully I will have an episode of After the Poll for you this week. But I was glad to at least go live on my own and to discuss this week's comic books. So, guys, again, thank you so much for watching Comic Book Weekly live. Thank you for watching my channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0, and supporting Brant and Kat as well. Everyone, have a wonderful night. Have a happy new comic book day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on my new comic book day haul. Good night, everyone. Take care. Bye.